Hello, we're now going to move on to the level 2 criteria. Look down at the tabs at the bottom, the level 2 criteria for Functional Skills ICT. This is for Pearson's and City and Guilds. First topic we're going to look at is an absolute reference. We talked before about different type of references, and the two that you need to know are relative and absolute. We've been through the relative ones in the previous videos, where when you drag a formula down, it carries the formula down and uses it relative to the one above. So if you was adding up a row and you drag the formula down, it would add up the next row. You drag the formula down, it would add up the next row, so on. With an absolute reference, we don't want that to happen. So if I want to put the total in here and say 12 times £2.50, I want the total to appear. However, when I drag this formula down, I then want the 3 to look at the £2.50. I don't want the £2.50 to keep moving down. So this is basically an absolute reference. We're not going to go into mixed references where you freeze just the column and not the row. That's more advanced. If you want to look at that, there's plenty of clips on YouTube for you to look at that. Anyway, let's get going. So an absolute reference. On your criteria that I've sent you out before, you'll see that an absolute reference, there's a fast track key for it, which is F4 on your desktop. So it would be Shift F4 on your desktop, whereas on the laptop, it would be the function key, the FN key, and F4. So I presume most of us are going to be doing exams on a desktop at college, etc. So it will be Shift F4. And what that does is put a $sign in, freezing the column, and a $sign in, freezing the row. So let's show you visually what I mean. So I want to here, I'm going to place a formula in here, and as we know, all formulas and functions start with A, and I'm hoping everyone's shouting equals back to me. So I want to total up how many pens I've sold in the £2.50 each. So I want to multiply that by cell. If I just enter that, I can see, oh, this is good. So if you remember hashtags in columns, give you a couple of seconds. Yep, the column wants opening up. So I'm just going to double click up here. We have £30. So this is correct. If I double click on that, I can see I've multiplied this by that, and it comes to £30, which is correct. If I drag this formula down, similar to what we've been doing before, we can see it goes array. And the reason for this, if I click into one of these cells, if I double click, it will show you what I'm actually, the two cells I'm working with. So this is correct. I want to multiply this by £2.50, but I can see that that cell has moved. I'll just show you on another one. It looks good here, £24. If you're not going to cut up, it looks like something's worked, but if you double click, you can see that that cell's correct. I want to multiply that cell, but I want to multiply it by this, but now this has moved down 3 spaces, and I want this to stay still. So the way we do that, I'm just going to delete these, delete this one, and I'm going to come back and start again. So equals this cell multiplied by this cell. At this point, we can see the cursor's flashing next to it. So what we can do with the laptop, you can press the function key, FN key, and F4, which I have my glasses on. I can see that it's put $signs in front of the letter and in front of the row number. Now, if you're on a desktop, it's Shift F4, the arrow on the left, and F4. So what this has actually done, the $sign in front of the letter, what that does is start to freeze this column. And the $sign in front of the number starts to freeze the row. Now where they meet, it will freeze that cell. So it'll fix it in place. So I can now press enter, still have £30, which is great. If I drag this formula down, we can see it looks a lot better. Now if I just click into there and use my up and down keys, keep an eye on this formula up here in the taskbar. You will see this cell reference changes as I move down here, but it will always look at B11. So I just go up and down, you can see it's fixed, B11. Now, in your exam, they won't tell you to complete an absolute reference or to put an absolute reference in there. You're expected to recognize that it needs one. Now, the tip I can give you reference absolute references is that if data is on its own here, like here, if data is on its own, then you can guess there's going to be an absolute reference in there because you're wanting to total this up 20 package holidays, and each holiday was 115. So you're actually looking at two cells here and putting the answer here. So where do we use absolute references? I mean, it could be used in VAT. So if I was finding the VAT of this, I could have the VAT total here. I could find the VAT 20% of this, and the 20% could be there. So I could always be looking at that. It could be stock taking. So if I had a number in here that said if it goes below 10, 15, 20, I want you to alert me. So they're the kind of things. But my top tip is absolute references. Let's bank on that are going to be in there. If data is on its own, yeah, you're going to need an absolute reference. And also, as we showed before, if you don't put an absolute reference in, it just looks array. It looks something's gone wrong. So that should highlight you as well. Anyway, next clip we're going to move on to is if statements. There's quite a few of these. There are three: an if and an if or. Now Pearson's, if you're on a Pearson's exam, you only need to know the if statement. If you're on the City and Guilds, you get the pleasure of having to remember all three of them. So I'll see you in a bit in the next video.